Alright, so at number 5 is another one of Spider-Man's classic villains, and this one has gone through a lot of changes. This is another villain that has a lot of character development behind him. This is a villain who's gone from another hero like Venom, who's gone from from villain to anti-hero to hero, then back to villain, and you feel kind of sympathetic for him. You feel really sorry for this guy, and he's really high on the list, and a lot of people, I'll get to explanation why he's at number 5 on my list. And that guy, he's also gone through a lot of names, but I'm going to use the name he was given, and that name is William Barker, aka Sandman. Now you're probably thinking, well, Sandman's nothing more than a Clayface ripoff. How is he at number 5? Because unlike Clayface, Sandman actually tried to change his ways. He's a very sympathetic character. He was actually, unlike Venom. You could probably be saying, Venom was try to change his ways. Why is he at number 6 and Sandman at number 5? Because Sandman, when he became a good guy, he actually attempted. He fought off the Sinister Six. To save Spider-Man, and keep in mind, the Six was actually really close to killing him if not Sandman intervened. He was also part of Silver Sable's Wild Pack. Him and Sable had a relationship in that time period. The other thing was that Sandman was also an Avenger. He was also a part-time. He also was allowed to become an Avenger for a short time. So yeah, Venom never got those nominated. He never got the chance to become an Avenger for a short time. Well, you could say Flash Thompson Venom's going to become a secret Avenger, but not Eddie Brock. Now, the other reason why he's so high on the list, unlike, rather than saying he's a Clayface ripoff, is because you feel really sorry for this guy. He has a very tragic tale for him. In fact, when his body was breaking down in in one of the stories, his body parts were breaking down because he couldn't hold his sand body together anymore. He actually told Spider-Man, tell my mom I love her, and tell my family I love them, and that's all I want. You really feel, out of all the other villains, out of Spider-Man's rogues, I feel the most sympathetic to Sandman, and plus, you can't go wrong with a guy who can make his body out of sand. That's just awesome. But the sympathetic reasons are why I like him. Now, number 4. Number 4 is a villain who, again, this is a villain who is probably on a lot of people's top 5 list. The number 4 villain is a guy who, he's gone from being a campy villain to a villain people actually take serious now. So, yeah, a lot of people take this guy from being a campy villain to a very serious villain, but I've always thought he's been an awesome villain. And that guy is Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio. Now, Mysterio, a lot of people don't take Mysterio seriously. I've always wanted this guy in a Spider-Man movie. Mysterio is basically a guy who, as I said with the Batman villains, Mysterio is a villain who, I like villains who can fight physically and mentally challenge the hero. But Mysterio, he gets leeway, and why he's so high on the list is because the reasons why he's on this list, because he uses his illusions and, his manipulations to the best extent. He's responsible, not someone like Kingpin or whatever, for killing Karen Page. He hired Bullseye to kill Karen Page before he committed suicide. Then he was in hell, and then he got brought back to life. Now, Beck, he's always been this egotistical madman. You feel like he does have this goofy getup, and he has a major ego, and that's sometimes kind of funny. But make no mistake, this guy is a real threat. Another reason why he's on this list, Old Man Logan. Does everyone remember what Mysterio did during Old Man Logan? Wolverine killed all the X-Men, thinking they were all supervillains, all part of Mysterio's plan. That's another reason. Was like, oh yeah, Mysterio did that. Granted, it was an out-of-continuity story, but still, he had the balls to do that. Was still kind of awesome. And another thing, recently in the comics, Mysterio actually defeated the Red Ghost in one of the issues of Spider-Man, and it's kind of funny. He actually told the Red Ghost, while you've been fighting a duplicate of me, I've been in home base playing Angry Birds on my iPhone. That's awesome when you can get your enemy to attack another you while you're at home playing a video game. That's an epic win, and he's always been a cool Spider-Man to mess with your mind. This is why I like him. Awesome costume and the ability to really royally screw with someone's head. At number three is a villain who, you know, he's also like Mysterio. He's died and been brought back to life before. He's also a villain who I could actually in some way call I guess you could say he's the bane of the Spider-Man universe in some pseudo way he is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the number 3 villain I'm talking about is Sergei Kravinoff, aka Kraven the Hunter. Now the reason why I call him like the bane of the Spider-Man universe is referring to Kraven's Last Hunt, when he took down Spider-Man and then buried him alive, pretended to be Spider-Man. He almost broke Spider-Man, you know. This is another reason why I like him is because the reason why I like a lot of other supervillains. A guy who can not only physically go toe-to-toe with a hero, but also outthink them, you know. He basically considered Spider-Man prey for the longest time. He's only obsessed with hunting Spider-Man. So I find that pretty interesting that, you know, this guy considers Spider-Man nothing more than sport. He doesn't want to kill Spider-Man out of revenge. He doesn't want to kill Spider-Man just to mess with him. He just wants him as a trophy, you know? And then he came back during the Grim Hunt, along with the rest of the Kravinoff family, hunting down all the members of the Spider-Man family. I thought that was pretty cool. Kraven is a guy who can, you know, he studies his opponent. You know, he's one of the few Spider-Man villains, same with the other two, 2 and 3, they do this too, but Kraven actually, like, takes time and practice, you know, studying Spider-Man. He writes down a lot of notes, he writes down, you know, the strengths and weaknesses Spider-Man has before charging into battle with him. Granted, that's not always the route he goes, but still, he has been known to do that. And I can't wait to see what they do with Kraven in the future. I really want to know where they're going to take the character now. So, moving on to number 2. Now, number 2, I don't think the villain number 2 on my list needs no introduction. Probably, when you think Spider-Man villains outside of Venom, who's the second guy you think of? Or, if not the first guy you think of villains? That's right. At number 2 on my top 10 favorite Spider-Man villain list is Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. Oh man, where do I begin? Now granted, yes, he is my number 2 villain, but still, this guy is the epitome of the word bastard. I mean, this is a villain who, you know, if I could compare Norman Osborn and Lex Luthor of who's the bigger prick, Norman gets the shot. Bendis, I gotta give a lot of credit to for making Norman a, you know, from an A-list Spider-Man villain to an A-list Marvel Universe villain. You know, who thought of Norman Osborn ever becoming a Marvel Universe villain? But at everyone's heart, he's better off as a Spider-Man villain through and through as the Goblin. You know, what else can I say about him that we already know why he should be at least the top 5? Reason why he's at number 2 is that number 1, I have some good reasons of why at number I have a number 1 villain, he's at number 2. But he is like, it was a very close one, because I was actually considering him putting it number 1, but I had a few more reasons why the other one at number 1 is where he is. But, you know, getting back to what I said, you know, what else can I say about Norman that, you know, this guy has made it his job to ruin Peter Parker's life? You know, Norman has gone out of his way from, you know, causing a stillborn baby with Mary Jane, killing Gwen Stacy, you know, revealing Peter Parker's, well, actually that was an out of continuity story, so never mind. There was another story where he revealed his identity to the world as a what-if comic. But yeah, you know, what else can I say about Norman that hasn't already been said? But still, there is one more villain that I feel should. This is why I like. This is again my list, my rules. But at number 1. Now, at number 1 is a villain who is another one of Spider-Man's earliest rogues. Probably the first Spider-Man villain. Actually, you could say that this guy, before Norman Osborn came along, this guy, on a daily basis, smacks Spider-Man around. This is a villain who I feel like is the definitive, shadow of Spider-Man. This is a guy who, I didn't take seriously, but now I've really dug the character, and this is why he's at my number 1. And that villain, ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Otto Octavius, a.k.a. Dr. Octopus. Now, the reason why I like Ock so much is because he is the definitive shadow of Spider-Man. Here's a guy who got... This is the same thing I said with Max Dillon, but Otto is the definitive shadow of Spider-Man. He is the antithesis of Spider-Man. Same with Green Goblin, but the reason why I say that is because he is what Peter Parker could have become. Here's a guy who was picked on as a kid. His parents didn't care much for him. Granted, he never really had a good father figure, while Spider-Man had a good family structure that gave him the values. Otto didn't live in that. He just lived with a mother who just loved him but couldn't find any time to love anyone else, and a father who abused him. He didn't live in a good family structure. And when he was given the power he had, he didn't think, oh, well, I'm going to use this power to save people. No. He's going to use it to kill people. He's going to use it for money and power. All the power, none of the responsibility. And Otto has got same thing I said about with Norman. Otto is another villain who's gone from A-list Spider-Man villain to A-list Marvel Universe villain. This guy has been taking on the the Future Foundation, the Avengers Academy, Iron Man, along with with the Sinister Six. He's been and he's dying, and I don't know if he's gonna die or not in this at World's End. Ends of the Earth story arc coming in at Spider-Man number 682. That story arc, but if Otto's gonna die, he's gonna take the whole world with him if he has to. But yeah, like I said, this is a guy who can not only outthink Spider-Man, but also go toe-to-toe with him with those tentacles. And, what's always so funny is that those tentacles, he could be making a pot of coffee. He could be making a cup of coffee, and he could be using those tentacles to whoop Spider-Man's ass at the same time. I think that's hilarious. But still, that's, again, my rule, my list, and, that's the reason why I think, why I like Dr. Octopus so much, is because he is everything that Peter Parker could have become. He is the perfect anti-Spider-Man out of all his rogues, and that's why, I have so much respect for the character. And again, you do feel that bit of sympathy for Otto. But all in all, hope you guys have enjoyed this list. Like I said, that's why I like Dr. Octopus so much. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And I might do a top 10 like Marvel and DC villains in the future. I'm going to remake those lists because those were the early on in my videos. But still, again, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm out.